What's up, Bomb Squad? This is Justin Simmel from the God Bombs, back for another Marilyn Manson review. This time, Hollywood in the Shadow of the Valley of Death. Hollywood is the third album of the Triptych. It completes the Triptych, which is considered his masterpiece of albums: Antichrist Superstar, Mechanical Animals, Hollywood. The Triptych actually goes in reverse, so Hollywood is the beginning of the story. It's a little bit dense, it's a lot of layers, very complex, and that pretty much also sums up the album Hollywood. There's a lot going on here. So let's start at the end of the Mechanical Animals era. Manson was on tour with the Rock is Dead tour, which was notorious because of the drama between Marilyn Manson and the band Hole, with its notorious singer, of course, Courtney Love, who at the time was dating Twiggy Ramirez. A lot of drugs, a lot of partying, and Hole dropped off the tour. The tour continued for a few dates, and then the first ever mass school shooting occurred, Columbine. The killers dressed all in black. They had the goth style, which was popular at that time, long black leather trench coats, and because Marilyn Manson was the most visible goth rocker at that time, and because his lyrics were perceived to be inciting violence, Manson was blamed by the media and by many politicians who had already been after Manson for things that he had done prior to this. He was a convenient scapegoat. And it's interesting because we're kind of full circle nowadays. He's been accused of all these things and the media has kind of turned on him. So Manson canceled the remaining tour dates of the Rock is Dead tour and retreated from the spotlight. He spent 3 months in seclusion, and that's where the ideas for Hollywood were born. The album was written at Manson's home in the Hollywood Hills with the whole band, and then recorded partially in Death Valley and also in Houdini's old mansion, which was converted into a studio owned by Rick Rubin. Hollywood is his response to being blamed for the Columbine shootings. Manson has stated that Hollywood is the beginning of his triptych. It's the story of someone who feels like they're rejected. They want to belong. They want to fit into this elite, perfect world known as the Hollywood. The main character, Adam Cadman, starts a revolution to destroy the leaders of Hollywood. This story will continue in Mechanical Animals, where that new rebellion becomes a product, and then the product must be destroyed in Antichrist Superstar. There was supposed to be a novel and a movie for Hollywood, which would have explained a lot more of the story behind Hollywood and also the story behind the entire triptych. However, these never materialized, unfortunately. Hollywood probably features the most iconic Marilyn Manson lineup, which is Marilyn Manson, Twiggy Ramirez returning on bass, John 5 on guitar. Even though John 5 was featured in all the music videos for Mechanical Animals, he did not play guitar on that album, so Hollywood is the first time we get to hear John 5, and the guitar work on this album is phenomenal. Madonna Wayne Gacy, aka Pogo, returning again on keyboards. Awesome keyboard work on this album. Ginger Fish returning on the drums. The drums sound amazing on this album, and Ginger has said that this is his favorite album drum-wise. He said that Dave Sardi told him to hit the drums lighter and that they actually created a really punchy sound that was very warm. I think the real unsung hero on Hollywood is Bon Harris, of early pioneering industrial EBM group, Nix or Ebb. Bon Harris supplied programming, sampling, loops, and keyboards for Hollywood. And you can really hear the difference. This album, the production is phenomenal. A lot of the songs were recorded with the band all in one room, playing at the same time. It sounds organic, it sounds really full. Hollywood produced 3 singles: Disposable Teens, the fight song, and the Nobodies. Disposable Teens, again, sort of revive the drum patterns that we heard in Beautiful People and Rock is Dead for another go-around. And this song really appeals to me a lot. I love that it's that classic Manson sound. The Nobodies, of course, is iconic. It talks about how the killers in Columbine knew that they would become famous for what they had done. Marilyn Manson has always been a statement about how the media glorifies serial killers like Charles Manson on the same level as stars like Marilyn Monroe. The fight song was really influenced by Blur's Song 2, which was a big hit at the time. The verses feature the drums with a heavy filter on them to give them kind of a muffled lo-fi feeling. I think this song is really good and I love some of the lyrics in the verse, but it feels a little bit rushed or not fully fleshed out, like it's just one big chorus the whole time. The sound of Hollywood immediately harkens back to Antichrist Superstar, but with the melody of Mechanical Animals. So basically, Manson blended the previous two albums. You get some of Manson's most poignant moments in pop culture history with the Hollywood period. We have his famous essay in Rolling Stone where he said he wouldn't have said anything to the killers, he would have just sat and listened to what they had to say, and that's what nobody did. We also get his incredible appearance on Bowling for Columbine. Manson made some really eloquent statements in that film, and I think a lot of people around this time who had dismissed Manson as some kind of shock rock kind of entertainer were really surprised at how intelligent Manson proved to be. And he proved a lot of people wrong with this time period. The album art is phenomenal. I think it's the best album art of any Marilyn Manson album. There's incredible tarot card paintings inside the booklet. I remember when I was in high school getting the CD and opening the booklet and just being blown away by the artwork and the style of it, and just it was like a whole world that you could delve into. Unlike Antichrist Superstar, which is very anti-Christ, in this album, Manson kind of compares himself to Christ. On the cover, he's crucified with his jaw broken, symbolizing the fact that he's been martyred by the media, he's been blamed and scapegoated. They're attempting to silence him. This album didn't perform as well as the previous two albums when it first came out. It really struggled, I think, for many reasons. There was no uncensored version of the album that was ever released. So it was banned from Walmart and other major retailers. I think this really shows that Manson did not want to have a watered down version of this album. He wanted it to be the exact message that he wanted to deliver. I think the public was a little bit burned out on Marilyn Manson by the time Hollywood came out. Eminem was the new poster boy for rebellious youth. At that point, hip-hop and nu metal, rap, rock music had become more popular, and so Manson's sound may have felt a little bit out of touch or archaic at that time period. I think the message was a little bit too highbrow for people to understand. I remember when Hollywood came out, I felt like it was an artist maturing and stepping into a new level of sophistication. And maybe the public wasn't ready for that. They wanted something more lowbrow, more easily digestible. This was very similar to Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile, which is a brilliant masterpiece album. But at the time when it came out, it was a little difficult to swallow, a little hard for people to wrap their heads around. However, over time, this has become one of Marilyn Manson's most popular albums, and it's actually one of his most streamed albums on Spotify. I think Hollywood ultimately is one of Manson's finest moments. It has aged like a fine wine. It's complex, it's sophisticated, it shows the haters and the critics that Manson is not just shocked. I think it contains themes that are relevant to today about how we as a society like to consume our celebrities. We celebrate our celebrities' rise, and then we celebrate their fall. We love to find faults in them and tear them down. And I think that Manson really illustrated America's love-hate relationship with guns and violence and God and religion and all of these really heavy themes that just go throughout Hollywood. I'm gonna give this album a 9. I think that Hollywood is a little too bloated for its own good. It has an intro, it has an outro, it has some songs that feel a little bit like more like skits or sketches, like the songs towards the end, Fall of Adam, King Kill 33, Valentine's Day, Count to 6 and Die. These songs are similar to songs on the wall where they're telling a story more than they are actual songs. While I love the album from start to finish, it's a lot to listen to. It seems like almost a double album, like Pink Floyd, The Wall, is what Manson really could have created with Hollywood. But because it didn't have a corresponding movie like The Wall did, I can see why it was released as one album. I just think that a few songs probably could have been cut. And that's really my only criticism. I think nowadays more people are discovering Hollywood, especially due to the internet and streaming And that's one of the great things, is that now people are able to dive into these deeper albums. I do think Manson evolved with Hollywood. I think he kind of distilled everything that he had done up until that point into one message, one album, one sound, one look. Even the imagery of Hollywood combines a little bit of that glam, high fashion sense of Mechanical Animals with the dark gothic couture style of Antichrist Superstar. I think Manson did a great job of synthesizing all of these different influences, different themes, and ideas into a great album. Of course, this would be the end of the classic Marilyn Manson as we know it. After this album, key members of the band would leave. Manson would radically change his sound and image yet again, and we would enter into the modern era of Marilyn Manson. So up next, we'll talk about that with the golden age of grotesque. Let me know what you guys think of Hollywood. Let me know what you think of my review. Subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bombs away.